Welcome to World Information HD. Today, we're unlocking the astounding world of numismatics with the top 13 most valuable and ultra-rare USA Lincoln pennies, some of which have sold for millions of dollars. Prepare to be amazed by striking era coins like the elusive 1943 bronze cent, accidentally struck on copper and fetching over $1.7 million at auction, and the legendary 1971 D penny, a true collector's grail due to its historical controversy and scarcity. From wartime minting mix-ups to dramatic die doubling and secret design flaws, these pennies each tell a dramatic, dollar-stretching story you won't want to miss. Let's dive in. Today we take a deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins ever struck in the United States, the 1971 D Lincoln 1-cent penny. This small copper coin may look ordinary at first glance, but within its history, design, and collectible value lies a story that captures the imagination of coin collectors and treasure hunters across America and beyond. From its creation at the Denver Mint to the errors and rarities that make certain examples worth thousands of dollars, this video will uncover everything you need to know. By the end, you'll understand why one little penny has been turning heads in the world of numismatics. History of the Lincoln PN and why the Lincoln cent first appeared in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the very first U.S. circulating coin to bear the image of an actual historical person rather than an abstract symbol like liberty. The design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, became instantly iconic. Over the decades, the Lincoln penny went through several changes, most notably the replacement of the wheat ears reverse with the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. This design, which remained in circulation until 2008, is what we see on the 1971 D penny. On the obverse, or front, Lincoln's famous profile is displayed with the motto, "In God We Trust." Above his head the word, "Liberty," to the left, and the year of issue, 1971, to the right. Below the year is where you'll find the small letter D, standing for the Denver Mint, one of the main facilities of the United States Mint. What makes the 1971 D penny SPCIL now? You may be wondering, what sets apart the 1971 D Lincoln cent from all the other years? After all, billions of pennies were minted in the 1970s. Why should collectors pay special attention to this particular coin? The answer lies in a combination of factors: the massive mintage, the composition of the coin, the conditions under which it was struck, and the possibility of rare varieties and errors. Each of these elements has contributed to the coin's intrigue and collectible appeal. Mintage NUMBRS in 1971, the Denver Mint struck an incredible 2.9 billion Lincoln cents. With such a high mintage, you would think every coin is common, and for the most part, that's true. Most 1971 D pennies are still worth only face value, a single cent. However, when billions of coins are struck, mistakes are bound to happen, and those mistakes create the rare varieties collectors chase. Composition of the PN and why the 1971 D penny was struck from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a metallic makeup that had been used since 1962. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams. Collectors often note the distinctive reddish-brown tone that older copper coins acquire over time. Uncirculated examples with their original fiery red luster are especially sought after, because copper tends to darken as the years pass. Condition and grading. One of the most important factors in determining the value of a 1971 D penny is its condition. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from poor, barely recognizable, to mint state, essentially flawless. A coin that has spent decades in circulation will usually have scratches, wear, and dull surfaces, making it worth little more than face value. However, a 1971 D penny preserved in mint state condition, especially at the highest grades like MS67 or MS68, can command significant premiums. These coins display brilliant surfaces, sharp details, and full original luster, making them treasures in the eyes of collectors. Errors and varieties. Now we come to the most exciting part of the story: the errors and varieties that make certain 1971 D pennies worth so much money. One of the most famous varieties for this year is the double die obverse. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coins was accidentally impressed with a doubled image, causing details like the lettering or date to appear doubled. Collectors prize doubled dies because they are both visually striking and relatively rare. On some 1971D examples, you can see doubling on the word Liberty, on the date, or on the motto, In God We Trust. Even light doubling can add value, while strong, clear doubling can make a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another type of error that collectors hunt for in the 1971D series includes off-center strikes. If a coin was not properly aligned in the press, part of the design may be missing, creating a dramatic and eye-catching appearance. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. There are also examples of struck-through errors, where foreign material like a piece of cloth, grease, or wire got between the die and the blank planchet during striking. These mistakes leave unusual impressions that turn ordinary pennies into conversation pieces worth far more than face value. Collecting the 1971D PNNY. So, how should collectors approach the 1971D Lincoln penny? First, it's worth checking any pocket change or jars of old coins you might have at home. Because billions were minted, there's a chance you could stumble upon one of the rare varieties hiding among ordinary pennies. If you're more serious about collecting, coin shows, online auctions, and numismatic dealers are great places to find certified high-grade examples. Many collectors aim to build complete sets of Lincoln cents, including every date and mint mark combination, and the 1971D is a necessary piece of that puzzle. Investment potential. Beyond the fun of collecting, there's also the question of investment. Can a 1971D penny actually be worth real money? The short answer is yes, but only under the right circumstances. While most are common, the rare errors and superbly preserved coins can sell for astonishing amounts. As more collectors enter the hobby and competition for rare coins increases, values for top-quality specimens have continued to climb. For those with an eye for detail, the humble 1971D penny can become a surprisingly valuable asset. Storytelling angel. Imagine for a moment finding an old jar of coins in your grandparents' attic. At first, it just looks like a pile of ordinary pennies, each one tarnished by decades of use. But then, under the right light, you notice something unusual. The date looks doubled, or the strike seems slightly off-center. You rush to check online, your heart racing as you realize you might be holding a numismatic treasure. This is the magic of coin collecting. It transforms ordinary objects into pieces of history, into miniature time capsules of American culture, industry, and design. The 1971D Lincoln cent embodies this magic perfectly. Ordinary yet extraordinary, common yet rare, all depending on the details that reveal themselves under close inspection. Why people love the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny has been called the people's coin. It's the coin most Americans are familiar with, the one that has passed through countless hands in shops, schools, and homes. For many collectors, the Lincoln cent was their very first coin, the spark that ignited a lifelong passion for numismatics. The 1971D penny is a reminder that even in the most common things, there can be hidden stories of great value. That's why collectors scour through rolls of pennies from banks, carefully examining each one with magnifying glasses or microscopes, hoping to spot that rare treasure. Final word on value. We've explored the history, design, errors, and collecting strategies for the 1971D Lincoln 1-cent penny. And now, the ultimate question: what is the highest value one of these coins has ever sold for? In a rare instance where condition, rarity, and collector demand all aligned, a single 1971D penny reached an astonishing auction price of $34,004. So the next time you find a penny in your change, don't dismiss it as just 1 cent. Take a closer look. You never know when you might be holding a small piece of history, and maybe even a coin worth a fortune. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of coins, make sure to like this video, subscribe to World Information HD, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you have any interesting coins in your collection? Could you be sitting on a hidden treasure? Welcome back, everyone, to another fascinating deep dive into the world of American coinage and the hidden treasures that might just be sitting inside your very own pocket change. Today, We are unraveling the story behind one of the most intriguing coins of the modern era, the United States of America 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. What might look like just another old copper coin could in fact be worth a surprising fortune if the right conditions are met. So sit back, relax, and get ready to discover why this seemingly ordinary coin has captured the attention of collectors and treasure hunters alike. The origin of the 1975 Lincoln PNNY. To understand why the 1975 penny has a special place in numismatic circles, we first need to revisit the history of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln penny was introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and became the first American coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic image. Sculpted by Victor David Brenner, the coin carried Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. This design lasted until 1958. When the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse design made its debut in 1959. By 1975, the Lincoln Memorial penny was well into circulation and Americans hardly gave it a second thought. Billions of these coins were struck and spent in grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines across the nation. But what sets apart certain 1975 pennies isn't just their age, it's their condition, rarity, and the subtle details that collectors obsess over. The no mint mark MYSTRY. When people hear the phrase, no mint mark, curiosity immediately sparks. Mint marks indicate where a coin was produced. Coins struck in Philadelphia during this period typically did not carry a mint mark, unlike coins from Denver, marked with a D, or San Francisco, marked with an S for proof issues. This absence of a mint mark has sometimes led to confusion. But the real magic lies not just in the lack of a mint mark, it's in the variations, striking quality, and potential errors that make certain 1975 pennies stand out. A no-mint mark penny from Philadelphia may be extremely common in its circulated form, but when preserved in pristine condition, with strong luster and no visible wear, it transforms from pocket change into a highly sought-after collectible. Material and composition. Another reason collectors love the Lincoln penny series is its metal composition. The 1975 Lincoln cent was still being minted with a 95% copper and 5% zinc composition, weighing 3.11 grams. This would change in 1982, when the mint transitioned to a copper-plated zinc planchet, reducing the intrinsic value of the coin's metal. Because of this, pennies from the mid-1970s hold a special place as among the last of the true copper cents. In fact, many investors and casual savers hoard copper pennies from before 1982 because their metal content is worth more than their face value. Condition is everything for the 1975 no-mint mark penny. Condition is king. In numismatics, coins are graded on a scale from poor P1 to mint state MS70. The vast majority of 1975 pennies you find in circulation will be heavily worn and worth only a cent. But examples that were saved in rolls, never touched, and carefully preserved can achieve extraordinary grades. When a coin reaches mint state 65 or higher, its value skyrockets. Collectors especially prize coins with brilliant red luster, free of spotting, discoloration, or scratches. Imagine holding a penny that has been sitting untouched for nearly half a century, its surfaces glowing as if it just left the presses yesterday. That's the kind of specimen collectors pay premiums for. Popular errors and varieties. While the standard 1975 no-mint mark penny can be collectible in pristine grades, error coins are what truly spark headlines. Misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets can all appear in this year's production. Some of the most dramatic errors include double die obverse, where Lincoln's features, the lettering, or the date appear doubled due to a misalignment in the hubbing process. Off-center strikes, coins struck with the design not properly centered, sometimes leaving a blank crescent shape on one side. Clipped planchets, pennies struck on planchets that were not cut correctly, resulting in a curved or missing portion of the coin. Die cracks and cuds, raised lines or blobs on the coin caused by damaged dies. Any of these anomalies can increase a penny's desirability and price substantially. Collectors know that era coins are essentially one-of-a-kind pieces of minting history. The 1975 penny in pop culture and American MEMORY coins often act as time capsules of their era, and the 1975 penny is no exception. America in the mid-1970s was a nation in transition. The Vietnam War had just ended, the Watergate scandal had shaken the country, and Americans were celebrating the bicentennial spirit leading up to 1976. Every coin from that time, including the humble penny, carries a piece of that history. When you hold the 1975 penny in your hand, you're touching a piece of mid-20th century America, an era of change, resilience, and reinvention. Why collectors love this coin? Collectors are not just buying a piece of metal. They are buying rarity, history, and beauty. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most collected coin series in the world. Beginners start with pocket change, filling coin albums with each date they can find. Advanced collectors, however, chase after the highest grades, rarest errors, and most unusual varieties. The 1975 no-mint mark penny is one of those coins that can bridge both beginners and experts, because while it may be common in worn condition, in pristine or error forms it becomes truly special. How to identify a valuable 1975 PNNY? So how do you know if your 1975 penny is worth more than 1 cent? First, check if it has a mint mark. A no-mint mark means it came from Philadelphia, which is standard. Next, examine the condition. If the coin is heavily worn, it is likely just face value. If it still has strong detail and red luster, it may be worth holding onto. Finally, look closely for errors, doubled lettering, off-center strikes, or unusual markings. Using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe can reveal hidden details that the naked eye might miss. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC can authenticate and grade coins, assigning them an official grade that determines their market value. A coin graded MS66 red or higher can sell for impressive amounts at auction. The thrill of the hunt part of what makes coin collecting so addictive is the thrill of the hunt. Imagine sorting through a jar of old change or a roll of pennies from the bank and suddenly spotting a flawless 1975 no-mint mark penny. The possibility that a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars could be hiding among ordinary change keeps collectors searching year after year. Stories abound of people who unknowingly had rare coins sitting in their homes for decades, only to discover later that they were holding a treasure. That possibility fuels the excitement around coins like the 1975 penny. Auction records and market value in recent years. High-grade examples of the 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent have commanded strong prices at auction. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for coins graded in the upper mint state levels with full red luster. Era coins from this year have also made headlines, with dramatic double dies or off-center strikes fetching thousands. While most circulated examples may never leave your piggy bank, the select few coins that survived untouched in stunning condition have a completely different fate. They become prized artifacts, fought over in auctions and collector circles. At first glance, the 1975 no-mint mark penny may not look like anything special. After all, billions were minted, and they have circulated for nearly 50 years. But as we've uncovered today, the difference between a common penny and a valuable rarity lies in the details, condition, errors, and collector demand. For those who take the time to look closer, this coin represents opportunity, history, and a piece of American culture. And here's the part you've been waiting for. In the world of coin collecting, there are documented cases where a pristine 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny has reached an incredible value of $43,900. Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting video where we dive deep into the world of United States coins, their history, their fascinating details, and their surprising values. Today, we're going to unravel the story of the 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, this coin might look like any ordinary penny you'd find rattling at the bottom of a drawer or tucked away in an old piggy bank. But behind its simple copper face lies a story of design, rarity, errors, collecting passion, and value that continues to shock collectors and coin enthusiasts across the world. The year 1977 was not too long ago in terms of American coinage history, but in those few decades, this penny has managed to carve out a reputation for itself among collectors. Most of us grew up seeing these little copper coins and probably never gave them a second thought. After all, how valuable could a single cent really be? But the answer is not only surprising, it's eye-opening. Let's travel back in time to understand why the 1977 penny deserves a special place in coin collecting and why some examples of this coin are worth a fortune today. The historical backdrop of 1977. To understand why this penny matters, we first need to place it in the context of its time. The year was 1977. America was celebrating its bicentennial spirit from just a year before. The nation was experiencing cultural shifts, with disco music echoing across dance halls, Star Wars hitting the theaters, and the economy wrestling with inflation and change. In the midst of all this, the U.S. Mint continued its work of producing coins for everyday transactions. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for decades by then. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent became one of the most popular coins in U.S. history. Its obverse, featuring Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, was instantly recognizable. By 1977, this design had already been used for nearly 70 years, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The obverse design on the front of the 1977 penny, you'll find that iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. His face is turned to the right, displaying a serious and contemplative expression. Above him is the national motto, "In God We Trust." To the left side of the portrait, you see the word liberty, and to the right, the date, 1977. Now, here is where things get interesting. If you look closely at the area beneath the date, you'll notice there's no mint mark. Mint marks are small letters on coins that tell us where they were made. In 1977, pennies were struck at different U.S. mint facilities, but when you see no mint mark at all, it usually means the coin was minted in Philadelphia. This detail makes the 1977 no mint mark Lincoln penny stand out to collectors who focus on minting locations and varieties. The reverse design turning the coin over, we see the reverse design created by Frank Gasparo. This was the design used on all Lincoln cents from 1959 to 2008. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a strong and timeless image of national pride. Above the building, arching across the top of the coin, are the words United States of America. Just below that is the phrase E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. At the bottom sits the denomination, 1 cent. What makes this design extra special is that, if you look closely at the Lincoln Memorial with a magnifying glass, you can actually see a tiny outline of the Lincoln statue inside the building, sitting between the columns. It's one of those hidden in plain sight details that still amazes collectors today. The composition of the coin. Now let's talk about what this penny is made of. The 1977 Lincoln cent was struck in a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This makes it part of the pre-1982 copper pennies, which weigh 3.11 grams. After 1982, the U.S. Mint switched to pennies made mostly of zinc with a thin copper coating, significantly reducing their intrinsic metal value. So right away, the 1977 penny has the advantage of being part of the heavier, all-copper generation of coins. Collectors love these pre-1982 coins because they not only have numismatic value, but they also contain more copper, making them historically and materially significant. Mintage and circulation in terms of numbers. Millions upon millions of pennies were struck in 1977. The Philadelphia Mint, which is responsible for the no mint mark variety, produced well over 4 billion coins that year. That's right, billions with a B. With such a massive mintage, you might wonder, why would any single 1977 penny be considered rare or valuable? The answer lies in the details. While most 1977 pennies are common and circulate for years without being noticed, a small number have survived in exceptional condition, while others exhibit rare mint errors or variations that make them highly desirable to collectors. These are the coins that can bring in surprising amounts of money at auction. Errors and varieties to look for. One of the reasons the 1977 no mint mark penny has caught collectors' attention is because of the variety of errors that can appear on coins from this period. Errors can happen during the minting process, and when they do, they create unique coins that stand out from the billions of standard examples. Some errors you might encounter include double die errors, where parts of the design appear doubled, especially noticeable on the date or the lettering dot, off-center strikes, where the coin design is not perfectly aligned with the blank, resulting in a portion of the design being cut off. Clipped planchets, where a small curved piece of the coin is missing from the edge. Die cracks or cuds, where the minting die develops cracks that leave raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface. These errors, combined with high-grade preservation, can push the value of a 1977 penny far beyond its face value. Grading and condition. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. A 1977 penny that has circulated heavily, showing scratches, dings, and discoloration, will usually be worth only face value. But a coin that has been carefully preserved, with sharp details and a glossy original surface, can command much higher prices. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC assign grades to coins based on their condition. The scale ranges from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin. A 1977 penny in lower grades will be common, but coins that grade MS 65 or higher, meaning mint state with minimal imperfections, can be significantly more valuable. Collectors and market demand. The demand for Lincoln cents remains strong in the coin collecting world. Many collectors enjoy putting together complete sets of pennies, from the earliest wheat cents to the modern issues. The 1977 no-mint mark penny is a key part of that journey. Its combination of history, design, and potential rarity makes it a coin worth hunting for. Over the years, the coin market has shown us time and again that coins once considered ordinary can skyrocket in value if they possess the right combination of condition, rarity, and collector demand. The 1977 penny is no exception. Tips for collectors. If you're interested in searching for valuable 1977 pennies, here are a few tips. Always check old jars, drawers, and piggy banks. You never know what coins might be hiding in plain sight. Use a magnifying glass to look for doubled dies, die cracks, or other unusual features. Weigh your pennies. Remember, genuine pre-1982 copper pennies should weigh 3.11 grams. If you find a coin that looks unusual or is in exceptional condition, consider sending it to a professional grading service. These simple steps can help you turn an ordinary penny into a collector's treasure. The excitement of discovery. Part of the thrill of coin collecting is the element of discovery. Imagine finding a 1977 penny that looks just a little different from the rest. At first, it might not seem like much, but once you realize its rarity or condition, the excitement sets in. For some collectors, that moment of discovery is as valuable as the coin itself. Final thoughts. So what does all this mean for the humble 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny? It means that this coin, minted in massive numbers and passed through countless hands, still holds the power to surprise us. It reminds us that even the smallest coin in our pocket change can carry stories of history, design, artistry, and unexpected value. And now, here's the part you've been waiting for: the value. While most 1977 pennies you find in circulation will only be worth a cent or two, the rarest, highest grade examples, especially those with unique errors, have sold for astonishing prices. In fact, one particularly remarkable 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reached the value of $39,002. Welcome back to the channel, where history, mystery, and money all collide in the fascinating world of United States rare coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing small treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change without you even realizing it: the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny, right? Just 1 cent, the kind of coin we often overlook, toss into a jar, or even refuse to bend down and pick up from the sidewalk. But what if I told you that this seemingly ordinary copper-colored coin could hold a story that stretches across American history, involves striking errors, die varieties, and collector demand that pushes its value far beyond a single cent? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the 1981 penny is so important, and what makes certain examples of this coin worth thousands of dollars. Let's start at the beginning. The year was 1981. Ronald Reagan had just taken office as the 40th President of the United States. MTV was making its debut on television, and the world of coin collecting was undergoing a subtle but important shift. The Lincoln cent had been in circulation for more than 70 years, since its debut in 1909, designed by Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1981, Americans had grown used to the image of Lincoln staring calmly to the right on the obverse of the coin, and the stately Lincoln memorial gracing the reverse. But here's where things get interesting. 1981 was the final year that most Lincoln cents were made with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. Beginning in 1982, the U.S. Mint switched to a predominantly zinc coin with just a thin copper coating, a change driven by rising copper prices. That makes the 1981 penny one of the last of its kind, a true relic of America's copper coinage era. Every 1981 penny weighs about 3.11 grams, compared to the lighter 2.5 grams of the zinc-based coins that came after. Now, let's focus on the detail that matters for today's story: the no mint mark. In U.S. coinage, mint marks are small letters that tell us where a coin was struck. A D indicates the Denver Mint, an S for San Francisco, and a P for Philadelphia. However, Philadelphia traditionally did not place a mint mark on its Lincoln cents until 2017. So, when you see a penny from 1981 without a mint mark, that tells us it was made in Philadelphia. But wait, doesn't that mean all Philadelphia pennies from 1981 are no mint mark? Yes, it does. So what makes some of these worth so much money? The answer lies in errors, varieties, condition, and rarity within high grades. Let's dig deeper. Collectors know that not all coins are created equal. Even within the same year, mint, and type, tiny differences can mean huge changes in value. For 1981 Lincoln cents, there are several well-documented varieties. First, there are two distinct designs for the lettering, known as Type 1 and Type 2. The difference is most noticeable in the mint mark style on coins that have them, but for Philadelphia cents, this distinction still plays a role in grading and identification. Then, there are error coins. Imagine a coin struck slightly off-center, or a coin that shows doubling on the date or the word Liberty. These errors happen during the minting process and are usually caught and melted down, but sometimes they escape into circulation. A double-die 1981 penny, where the numbers appear slightly shadowed or doubled, can be worth far more than face value. Collectors also prize pristine condition. When a coin comes straight from the mint and has been carefully preserved, it can earn a grade from professional services like PCGS or NGC as mint state or proof. Coins graded as MS65, MS67, or higher can command staggering prices at auction, because out of the billions of pennies made each year, only a tiny fraction survive without scratches, discoloration, or wear. And speaking of billions, yes, the Philadelphia Mint struck a staggering over 3.1 billion Lincoln cents in 1981. That might sound like too many for any of them to be rare, but remember, collectors don't want just any coin. They want the finest known examples, or the most unusual errors, or those rare survivors that still gleam as if they were minted yesterday. Let's pause for a moment and think about this. Out of those billions of coins, imagine how many ended up rattling around in jars, dropped in vending machines, or left to tarnish in the bottom of drawers. The vast majority have lost their luster. Only a tiny fraction have survived in pristine condition, and even fewer exhibit the special traits that set collectors' hearts racing. That's where the value comes in. But the 1981 penny has another layer of intrigue. It sits right on the boundary of America's coinage history, between the heavy copper cents of the past and the lightweight zinc cents of the future. That transitional importance makes it a target for collectors who want a piece of history. It's not just a penny, it's the last breath of a bygone era, stamped into metal and handed to the American people in everyday transactions. Now, let's explore what collectors look for when they search through their 1981 pennies. First, check the coin's surface. Is it bright, lustrous, and free of scratches? Or does it show signs of wear and tear? Even the smallest nick can reduce a coin's grade and therefore its value. Second, look closely at the date and the lettering under magnification. Do you notice any doubling, especially in the 1 and 9 of 1981? Doubling can appear as faint shadows or as distinctly doubled lines. These double die errors are some of the most desirable. Third, weigh the coin. A genuine 1981 copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it's significantly lighter, it might be a rare transitional error, perhaps even struck on a zinc planchet intended for 1982. Those transitional errors are incredibly rare and have sold for impressive amounts at auction. Fourth, check for off-center strikes, broad strikes, or misaligned dies. These are visual oddities where the design doesn't line up perfectly on the coin, making it unique. Collectors thrive on these tiny details, and those details are what turn a simple 1-cent coin into a treasure worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. So, how much can a 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent actually be worth today? Well, circulated examples are still worth face value, just 1 cent, because billions exist. But uncirculated examples graded at the very highest levels can bring serious money. Coins with dramatic errors can push values even higher. And at the very top of the market, some have sold for prices that most people would never believe possible for a penny. Think about it. A coin that costs the US Mint less than a cent to produce, handed out in change for a candy bar or soda, can now be the centerpiece of a collector's showcase. That's the magic of numismatics, the study and collecting of coins. It's not just about metal and minting. It's about history, rarity, survival, and the chase to find something extraordinary hiding in the ordinary. Now, imagine the thrill of finding one of these special coins in your own collection. Maybe it's been sitting unnoticed for years in a jar, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize its potential. Or maybe it passes through your hands in daily change, and only later do you realize what you held for a brief moment was worth more than you ever imagined. And here's the part you've been waiting for: the record price. Among all the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent pennies, one particular coin in extraordinary condition, preserved at the highest level, crossed the auction block for an astonishing sum. That single penny, no different in design than the billions of others, sold for $47,498. Yes, you heard that correctly. From 1 cent to over $47,000. That's the power of rarity, condition, and collector demand. So the next time you see a penny lying on the ground, or you pour out a jar of coins, don't be so quick to dismiss the little copper pieces mixed in. Within those humble cents may be a coin that holds not only monetary value, but also a story, a piece of history, and a glimpse into the fascinating world of numismatics. Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting and fascinating deep dive into the world of American coins. Today, we will be exploring one of the most talked about pennies of the modern era, the 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin. While it may look like just another common copper-colored penny you might receive as change from the grocery store or find rolling around in your car, this particular year and variety of the Lincoln cent holds much more interest than meets the eye. Collectors and coin enthusiasts around the world know that every penny tells a story, and the 1985 Lincoln penny is no exception. The United States has a rich history of coinage, and the Lincoln cent has been one of the most iconic pieces of American money ever created. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, this coin has gone through several design changes, material adjustments, and production quirks over the years. Yet, its simple appearance continues to fascinate both professional numismatists and casual collectors alike. The 1985 penny in particular is interesting because it represents the era of transition, mass production, and hidden treasures within the world of coin collecting. To begin our journey, let's go back to the basics. The 1985 Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and therefore carries no mint mark. Many people may not realize that coins struck in Philadelphia during this time typically did not have a mint mark at all, which can sometimes cause confusion for new collectors. While the lack of a mint mark might make the coin seem ordinary, there are certain varieties, era coins, and high-grade examples of this year's penny that make it incredibly valuable and worth paying attention to. The obverse of the coin proudly features the profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, who first created the design in 1909. Brenner's portrait of Lincoln has remained a symbol of strength, humility, and leadership for over a century. Above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God we trust." To the left is the word, "Liberty," and to the right is the date 1985, without any mint mark beneath it. On the reverse of the coin, designed by Frank Gasparo, we find the image of the Lincoln Memorial, which has been a hallmark of Lincoln since from 1959 all the way to 2008. In fact, if you look closely at the Lincoln Memorial design, you can even see a tiny representation of the seated statue of Abraham Lincoln within the memorial itself, a fascinating detail that is often overlooked. Now, when it comes to composition, the 1985 Lincoln cent is not made of pure copper. Instead, starting in 1982, the United States Mint switched to using copper-plated zinc. That means the coin consists of a core made primarily of zinc, with a thin outer layer of copper giving it its distinctive color. This was done as a cost-saving measure since copper prices had risen too high for the government to continue producing cents entirely out of copper. As a result, the 1985 penny weighs about 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Though small, its story is anything but insignificant. When we talk about coin collecting, there are three main factors that determine value: rarity, condition, and demand. While the 1985 penny may not seem rare at first glance, after all, millions were minted, it is the condition of these coins and the errors that occurred during production that make them stand out. Collectors are always on the lookout for high-grade examples, those coins that have survived the past several decades without scratches, circulation marks, or discoloration. These pristine coins are known as mint state coins, and they are graded on a scale known as the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70. A grade of MS-70 represents a flawless coin with no imperfections, something exceedingly rare for a coin struck for general circulation. For the 1985 penny, coins found in mint state grades such as MS-65, MS-66, or higher are the ones that bring serious attention. These are the coins that were carefully preserved, perhaps stashed away in rolls or coin sets, and avoided the usual wear and tear of everyday use. Such coins can bring significant premiums compared to their face value of just 1 cent, but what really excites collectors are error coins and unique varieties. The United States Mint produces millions of coins every year, and with such high production numbers, mistakes are bound to happen. For the 1985 penny, some error coins include off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverses, broad strikes, and misaligned dies. Each of these errors creates a unique appearance that can make the coin far more valuable than a regular issue. Imagine holding a coin where Lincoln's profile is doubled, or where the rim is missing due to a misalignment during striking. These unusual details not only make the coin rare but also turn it into a conversation piece and a collector's treasure. Another key point worth discussing is the historical context of the 1980s in coin production. The United States Mint was producing coins at incredible speeds to meet demand, and with mass production often comes quality control issues. That's why the 1985 penny is particularly intriguing, as it represents a time when millions of coins were produced quickly, but only a handful emerged with the kind of pristine condition or striking errors that collectors crave. For collectors starting out, it is always recommended to search through pocket change, coin rolls from banks, or inherited coin jars. You might just come across a 1985 penny in beautiful condition. While most examples will only be worth face value or slightly above, those rare few in high grades or with dramatic errors can fetch extraordinary prices at auctions and from private buyers. This is the magic of coin collecting. You never know what small piece of metal could turn out to be worth a fortune. Additionally, it's important to understand the grading services that help establish the value of coins like the 1985 penny. Professional grading companies such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, are highly respected in the hobby. These organizations evaluate a coin's condition under strict standards and then encapsulate it in a protective holder with its grade clearly marked. Having a coin professionally graded not only verifies its authenticity, but also adds confidence for buyers and sellers in the marketplace. The Lincoln cent as a whole has a special place in American culture. Generations of Americans have carried this coin in their pockets, used it in everyday transactions, and collected it in albums. Schoolchildren often begin their coin collecting journey with the humble penny, searching for different years and mint marks to fill their collections. That's why certain years, like 1985, continue to hold intrigue and potential value decades after their minting. For serious collectors, the hunt for top-graded examples of the 1985 penny never stops. Auction houses have seen these coins reach impressive numbers, especially when graded MS-67 or higher. Even though it may appear to be a modern coin, the scarcity of such pristine examples combined with strong collector demand makes it a highly sought-after piece. So, the next time you come across a 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, take a moment to really look at it. Inspect the details on Lincoln's portrait, the clarity of the lettering, and the shine of the copper surface. What might appear as just another penny could very well be a treasure hiding in plain sight. After all, every coin has a story, and some of those stories are worth far more than a single cent. Collectors all over the country continue to be surprised by the hidden gems that surface from circulation, from old coin jars, or from estate sales. The lesson here is simple: never overlook the power of knowledge when it comes to coins. That penny in your hand might not just be pocket change, it could be history, rarity, and value all wrapped into one dot. And as we close this exploration into the fascinating 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, it's worth mentioning the incredible price that the most pristine, high-grade, or rare error examples of this coin can command. In fact, one of these coins has been recorded selling for an astonishing $34,998. Welcome back to the channel, where we uncover the hidden treasures lying quietly in pocket change, coin rolls, and old collections. Today's journey takes us deep into the world of Lincoln cents, specifically the 1987 no-mint mark penny. You might think it's just another common coin from the late 1980s, but as you're about to find out, certain details, conditions, and errors can make this ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc worth a surprising fortune. So grab your magnifying glass, sit back, and let's explore every fascinating detail about the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. History of the Lincoln CNT. To truly appreciate the 1987 penny, we need to rewind a bit. The Lincoln cent has been one of the most iconic coins in American history. First minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it replaced the Indian head cent and became the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real person. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin proudly displayed Lincoln's bust on the obverse and, at the time, 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. Over the decades, the Lincoln cent saw multiple design changes. In 1959, the wheat reverse was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial, in celebration of Lincoln's 150th birthday. And from that point until 2008, the Memorial reverse became the standard. That means the 1987 penny we are talking about belongs to the Memorial cent era, carrying with it all the details and nuances that collectors look for. The 1987 penny. Basic facts. So, what exactly is the 1987 penny? The coin was struck in 2 locations: Philadelphia, which produced coins without a mint mark, and Denver, which stamped its coins with a bold D mint mark. There were also proof coins minted in San Francisco, identifiable by the S mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint struck billions of pennies in 1987, and most of them entered everyday circulation. They were made of a copper-plated zinc composition, a change introduced in 1982 due to the rising cost of copper. These coins have a weight of 2.5 grams, a diameter of 19 millimeters, and feature the familiar Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. At first glance, this seems like a coin too common to ever be valuable. After all, billions were minted, and countless still exist in jars, drawers, and piggy banks across the country. But here's the fascinating truth: rarity in the coin world doesn't always come from low mintage numbers. It often comes from condition, errors, and collector demand. And that's exactly what sets certain 1987 pennies apart. Collector appeal and value factors. When collectors evaluate the worth of a 1987 no-mint mark penny, several factors come into play. Condition, grade. This is the single most important factor. A well-worn penny that's been in circulation for decades is usually worth face value. However, an uncirculated example, especially one that has been preserved in pristine condition, can skyrocket in value. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC are highly desirable. Mint errors. Errors are like lightning in a bottle for coin collectors. They turn common coins into rarities. Off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and wrong planchet errors can all add significant value. I appeal. Even among high-grade coins, collectors pay premiums for those with strong luster, beautiful toning, and sharp strike details. A penny that shines brilliantly and has no distracting blemishes will always bring in higher bids. Historical curiosity. Many collectors love Lincoln cents because of their long history. The 1987 penny represents the modern zinc era, and some collectors aim to build complete sets that include every year and variety. Error varieties that matter. Let's take a closer look at the kinds of errors and varieties that make the 1987 no-mint mark penny stand out. Double die obverse, DDO, a doubling of letters, numbers, or Lincoln's features caused by a misaligned die during striking. If you find one with clear doubling in God we trust, or the date, you could be holding a rare treasure. Off-center strike. Sometimes the penny is struck with the design off-center. Depending on how far off it is, collectors may pay a high premium. Off-center errors showing both the date and part of Lincoln's bust are especially valuable. Clipped planchet. This error occurs when the coin blank was improperly cut, leaving a missing curved section. These stand out immediately and can sell for much more than face value. Die cracks and cuds. When a die breaks or deteriorates, raised lines or blobs of metal can appear on the coin. Collectors love these quirky features, and unique ones are often pursued passionately. Wrong planchet errors. Extremely rare but possible. These are coins struck on the wrong metal blank, such as a dime planchet. These anomalies can bring thousands of dollars at auction. The role of grading. Professional grading makes a world of difference in the coin market. For the 1987 no-mint mark penny, the difference between a well-worn circulated coin and a pristine mint state coin can be night and day. A coin in circulated condition is typically worth 1 cent. A coin in about uncirculated condition may sell for a small premium. A mint state 65 or higher graded coin can easily climb in value, especially if it has attractive luster. The most desirable examples are those graded MS67 or MS68, as these are extremely difficult to find due to the way coins were handled and distributed. Auction HIGHLIGHTS auction records often reveal the true potential of a coin's value. Over the years, certain 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln cents have fetched impressive amounts when they've appeared at auctions in superb condition or with remarkable errors. Collectors compete fiercely for these high-grade examples, and the bidding wars can push prices to levels that seem almost unbelievable for a coin most people would overlook. Why collectors love this coin. The allure of the 1987 penny lies in its paradox. It is common, yet rare at the same time. Billions were minted, yet only a handful exist in immaculate condition or with major errors. This duality excites collectors. It means that anyone, anywhere, might stumble across a fortune in the most unexpected place. A handful of spare change, an old coin jar, or even a forgotten roll of pennies. Imagine the thrill of discovering a coin you once dismissed as worthless suddenly turning out to be a prized rarity worth thousands. That's the magic of coin collecting, and the 1987 penny embodies that magic beautifully. Tips for finding ONE. If you're inspired to go hunting for a valuable 1987 penny, here are some tips. Search old rolls and bags. Many high-grade coins were set aside in bank rolls decades ago and may still be waiting to be discovered. Check coin shows and dealers. Professional dealers sometimes come across error varieties that are undervalued. Look closely with magnification, subtle doubling, cracks, or planchet. Issues can turn an ordinary penny into a rare collectible. Consider submitting for grading. If you think you've found an exceptional coin, professional grading can authenticate and maximize its value. The 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny proves that value often hides in plain sight. While billions exist, only those in extraordinary condition or with remarkable errors rise above the rest. Collectors around the world continue to seek out these special coins, chasing both the thrill of discovery and the satisfaction of holding a piece of history. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the highest recorded value of a 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Believe it or not, in pristine condition with exceptional qualities, this humble cent has reached an astonishing auction price of $26,848. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare American coins. Today, we're turning our attention to one particular coin that has captured the interest of collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people who still check their pocket change carefully. That coin is the 1988 D-Mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, at first glance, this coin might look like any other penny that you've seen a million times before. After all, it still carries the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. You've probably spent one, dropped one under your car seat, or passed one along in change without ever giving it a second thought. But here's the truth. Some of these 1988 D pennies are worth far more than 1 cent. In fact, depending on the condition and variety, these pennies can carry values that would absolutely shock most people. So, if you have some coins lying around at home, you might want to listen closely, because that little copper-plated piece of change could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Let's start by painting a picture of the year 1988 in the United States. The nation was nearing the end of Ronald Reagan's presidency, the Cold War was slowly easing its grip on the world, and technology was beginning to creep into homes in ways that would shape the future. People were still using payphones, cassette tapes were popular, and gas prices hovered around $1 a gallon. In that same year, the U.S. Mint was busy producing millions upon millions of pennies. Specifically, at the Denver Mint, which is what the D-Mint mark stands for, an enormous number of Lincoln cents were struck. Now, the sheer mintage of the 1988 D penny was massive, reaching well into the billions. That means that, in theory, these pennies should not be rare. Billions of them were made, and billions of them were put into circulation. But here's where the story gets interesting. Not every penny is created equal. While most were ordinary, some coins came off the press with slight differences, unique markings, and features that have since turned them into hidden treasures. The Lincoln Cent series itself is one of the most iconic and longest-running coin designs in American history. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the design has been a staple in American coinage for well over a century. By 1988, the obverse of the penny still displayed the beloved profile of Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse showcased the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, which was first introduced in 1959. But within the normal production process, small variations, errors, and die changes sometimes slip past the mint's quality control. And when these anomalies occur, collectors notice. One of the main reasons why the 1988 D penny attracts so much attention today is due to certain varieties and transitional errors. You see, 1989 would mark a very subtle change in the Lincoln Cent series. The Mint was already preparing for design updates, and small details began shifting slightly between 1988 and 1989. What this means is that some 1988 pennies were accidentally struck with dies intended for the following year. And while to the average eye these differences are almost invisible, to collectors, they are a golden ticket. Take, for example, the well-known 1988 transitional reverse variety. On some 1988 pennies, including those with the Denver Mint mark, the reverse design actually matches the 1989 reverse hub instead of the intended 1988 reverse. This difference is most noticeable in the shape of the letters and the spacing of the memorial details. Tiny details like the style of the G in the word America, or the designer's initials at the base of the memorial can signal whether you're holding a rare transitional variety or just an ordinary coin. To a casual spender, this detail would mean nothing. But to a collector or expert, This could mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now, let's dive into the subject of coin errors, which makes the 1988 penny all the more interesting. Mint errors are like the spice of coin collecting. They can happen when coins are struck off center, when double strikes occur, or when dies clash and leave behind ghostly impressions on the surface of the coin. Some pennies from 1988 have been found with dramatic off-center strikes where part of the design is missing entirely. Others may show die cracks, filled mint marks, or even multiple images faintly overlapping. Each error tells a unique story about how the coin was created and makes that specific coin one of a kind. And as collectors know, uniqueness is one of the driving forces of value. Condition also plays a critical role. A circulated 1988 penny that has been through decades of wear and tear might not be worth more than face value, unless it carries one of these rare varieties or errors. But when a coin is preserved in pristine condition, graded at the highest levels like mint state 65 or above by professional grading services, its value can skyrocket. Collectors are always hunting for coins that look nearly flawless, with sharp details and minimal scratches. Imagine finding a shiny, lustrous penny from 1988 that looks like it was minted yesterday. That kind of quality can add enormous value to an otherwise common coin. What makes this all the more exciting is that many people have no idea that these coins exist or that they could be worth anything more than 1 cent. Think about it. How many times have you overlooked pennies, left them in a drawer, or even refused to pick one up off the ground? For coin collectors, that habit might mean missing out on a small fortune. Stories circulate every year of people discovering rare coins in their change, at garage sales, or in jars of old pennies that had been collecting dust for decades. It's the thrill of the hunt that keeps so many collectors passionate, and the 1988 penny is a perfect example of why this hobby can be so rewarding. Let's also not forget the historical value. Coins are more than just metal, they are miniature pieces of history. Each one carries the story of its time, the culture that created it, and the people who used it. A 1988 penny has passed through countless hands, exchanged for candy at a corner store, dropped into vending machines, or tucked into the pockets of Americans during an era of great change. And yet, among these billions of ordinary coins, some hide extraordinary worth. So, how can you tell if you have a valuable 1988 penny in your possession? First, start by looking at the mint mark. The small D below the date indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint. Then, carefully examine the coin's details, especially the reverse design and the designer's initials. If you notice characteristics of the 1989 reverse, you might be holding a transitional variety. Next, check for signs of mint errors such as off-center strikes, doubling, or unusual marks. Finally, consider the condition of the coin. If it looks nearly perfect, it might be worth sending it to a professional grading service for evaluation. Collectors recommend using a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to study these coins closely. Lighting also makes a big difference, as certain details may only be visible at certain angles. And of course, patience is key. Coin collecting is like detective work. You're piecing together clues to determine whether your coin is special or not. Over the years, auction records and private sales have shown that certain examples of the 1988 penny can reach impressive values. What starts as a simple coin in your hand can turn into a prized collectible under the right circumstances. And the best part? These coins are still out there, tucked away in piggy banks, coin jars, and circulation. So, the next time you come across a penny, especially one dated 1988 with a D mint mark, take a closer look. Don't dismiss it as just another cent. You could be holding a little piece of American history and, quite possibly, a coin that collectors are eager to add to their collections. And here's the most jaw-dropping part. While most 1988 pennies will only be worth face value, certain rare varieties in pristine condition have sold for astonishing amounts of money. In fact, one of the most valuable examples ever recorded reached an incredible $45,003. Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of American coins, hidden treasures, and the stories behind rare pieces of change that might just be sitting in your pocket right now. Today, we're going to explore one of the more mysterious and exciting modern coins that has captured the attention of collectors across the country: the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. While it may look like just another ordinary copper-plated zinc coin that you could spend at the store, there are a lot of hidden details about this penny that make it much more than just a single cent in value. By the end of this video, you'll discover why this penny has become so sought after, how errors and varieties have pushed its value into the thousands, and what you should be looking for in your own change. History of the Lincoln penny. To really understand the significance of the 1998 penny, we need to step back in time and look at the legacy of the Lincoln cent. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the penny has been in continuous circulation ever since. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin has gone through several subtle changes over the years, but the central theme has always remained the same: Lincoln's dignified profile on the obverse, representing one of America's greatest leaders. From 1909 until 1958, the reverse of the coin displayed 2 wheat stalks, which is why those early coins are still called wheat pennies. But in 1959, the design was changed to show the Lincoln Memorial, honoring the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial reverse lasted until 2008, making the 1998 penny part of this long-running era of design. What's fascinating about the Lincoln cent is how such a small piece of currency, minted by the billions, can hold so much historical weight. Not only has the design stood as a reminder of Lincoln's legacy, but it has also become the canvas for some of the most interesting minting errors, varieties, and valuable finds in American coin collecting history. The 1998 penny in context. Now let's zoom in on the year 1998. In that year, the United States Mint produced pennies at multiple facilities, including Denver and Philadelphia. Those minted in Denver bear a small D mark, while those from Philadelphia traditionally carry no mint mark at all. That's why when you see a penny dated 1998 without a mint mark, it actually means it came from the Philadelphia Mint. But what makes these no mint mark pennies fascinating is that some of them have unique characteristics that set them apart from the billions of ordinary pennies struck that year. While a typical 1998 penny is worth only face value, certain rare varieties have captured the imagination of collectors and driven up their market prices dramatically. Minting process and era potential. To understand why, let's look at how coins are produced. Modern pennies are struck using copper-plated zinc planchets. The obverse die strikes Lincoln's portrait, while the reverse die impresses the Lincoln Memorial. When everything goes perfectly, you end up with a standard coin. But the minting process is anything but perfect. Sometimes dies are misaligned. Sometimes planchets are flawed. Sometimes the dies themselves wear out, creating doubling effects on the lettering or the date. And sometimes, the mint even prepares dies for upcoming designs and accidentally uses them early. This last point is especially relevant to the 1998 penny, as we'll soon see. Varieties of the 1998 penny. Collectors who know what to look for have identified several intriguing varieties in 1998 pennies. Among them, the most famous is the so-called wide AM variety. On standard 1998 pennies, the letters A and M in America on the reverse are spaced closely together. But in a small number of coins, the A and the M are noticeably wider apart. This occurred because the mint mistakenly used a reverse die intended for proof coins on some business strikes. That tiny detail, the distance between 2 letters, turned an ordinary 1-cent piece into a collectible worth many times its face value. To collectors, these small differences are like buried treasure. Imagine finding a coin that looks like every other penny, but upon close inspection, you realize it's a wide AM variety worth hundreds of dollars. That possibility is what drives so many people to examine their change carefully. Grading and condition. Of course, condition plays a huge role in determining a penny's value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor, where the design is barely recognizable, to mint state, where the coin looks as though it just left the presses. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 1998 no-mint mark penny in heavily circulated condition might only fetch a small premium if it's a rare variety. But if you have a mint-state example with sharp details, no scratches, and original luster, you could be looking at something truly valuable. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin, which adds to its legitimacy and helps determine its place in the marketplace. Collector interest and market demand. So why do collectors get so excited about pennies like this? Part of it is the thrill of the hunt. With billions of pennies in circulation, most people overlook them entirely. But collectors know that within those billions, a handful of coins with unusual traits can exist, waiting to be found. The 1998 no-mint mark penny with special varieties appeals to both beginners and seasoned collectors. Beginners love the idea that they can search through pocket change or rolls of coins from the bank and potentially find something rare. Seasoned collectors appreciate the challenge of completing sets with elusive varieties. The role of auctions over the years. Rare examples of the 1998 no-mint mark penny have made their way into coin auctions, where competition among collectors drives prices sky high. When two or more collectors really want the same coin, bidding wars erupt, and the final hammer price can be staggering compared to the coin's humble 1-cent face value. Auction records also set benchmarks for future sales. If a 1998 penny of a particular variety sells for thousands at one auction, it creates a ripple effect, increasing interest and raising the perceived value of similar coins. This cycle of discovery, grading, auctioning, and record setting is part of what keeps the coin collecting world so dynamic. Why you should check your change. If you're watching this video, you might be wondering what you should be looking for in your own change. First, focus on the date, 1998. Then, check if the coin has no mint mark, which means it was struck in Philadelphia. Finally, take a magnifying glass and look closely at the reverse. If you see a noticeable gap between the letters A and M in America, you might have a wide AM variety in your hand. Even if you don't find that exact variety, other minting errors from the same year can still carry premiums. Double die obverse, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws all add uniqueness and value. The key is paying attention to the details. Why the penny matters. Some people wonder why we spend so much time talking about a coin that's only worth 1 cent. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. A penny isn't just a piece of currency. It's a tiny artifact of history, a reflection of craftsmanship, and sometimes, a ticket to unexpected wealth. The 1998 penny reminds us that even in the modern era of machine precision, mistakes and oddities still happen. And those mistakes give collectors a reason to keep searching, learning, and appreciating the hidden treasures of numismatics. The journey of a coin. Think about where a 1998 penny might have traveled. It could have passed through countless hands over the past 2 decades, used to buy candy, dropped into vending machines, tossed into piggy banks. Along the way, its surface may have worn down, but in some cases, its rarity was preserved, waiting for a keen eye to notice. This is part of what makes coin collecting so magical. Every coin has a story. And for some, that story ends at an auction house, where collectors recognize its value not just in dollars, but in history and uniqueness. Closing thoughts. So, the next time you're handed change at the grocery store, don't dismiss those pennies. Take a closer look. That unassuming 1998 no-mint mark penny in your hand might just be one of the rare varieties collectors are willing to pay thousands of dollars for. And now, here's the number you've been waiting for. The most valuable recorded sale of a 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny reached an astonishing $33,376. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and valuable finds that might be sitting right inside your pocket change. Today, we are going to take a long and detailed look at one very modern coin that you may think of as ordinary, but under the right circumstances, it can actually be worth thousands of dollars. I am talking about the 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that many people overlook every single day. At first glance, the 2014 Lincoln penny seems like just another copper-plated zinc coin. It has the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and on the reverse, it features the Union Shield design, which has been in use since 2010. Millions upon millions of these coins were struck in Philadelphia, and because of that massive mintage, most people don't think twice when they see one. But, like in many stories of coin collecting, the devil is in the details. Within those details lies the reason why some of these pennies are not only collectible but also extremely valuable. Let us begin by exploring the background of the Lincoln cent itself. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, this coin became an instant favorite among the American public. It was the very first time that a U.S. president appeared on circulating coinage, breaking away from the long tradition of symbolic figures such as Liberty. From wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, and eventually to the shield design we see today, the Lincoln cent has a history that spans over a century. With that history comes countless varieties, minting errors, and hidden treasures that collectors hunt down. Now, why focus on the year 2014? At first, it doesn't seem like a particularly special year in the world of coins. But 2014 pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint carry no mint mark, which is why they are often described as no mint mark coins. To the casual eye, this might not seem unusual, because Philadelphia coins traditionally lack a mint mark. But here's the catch: some of these pennies contain very specific varieties and striking errors that make them far more desirable than the rest. Let's talk about the details that collectors look for. The first area of interest is the obverse. Look closely at Lincoln's profile, especially at the date and the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust. Doubling in these areas, known as a double die error, can significantly increase a coin's value. Under magnification, collectors search for doubled letters, unusual spacing, or ghost-like shadows around the numbers in the date. These are clear signs that the coin is not an ordinary strike but something that slipped through quality control and became an accidental rarity. On the reverse, the Union Shield design provides plenty of opportunities for varieties as well. Collectors carefully inspect the vertical lines on the shield, the lettering of 1 cent, and the banner inscribed with E pluribus unum. Any signs of doubling, misalignment, or striking weakness could point to a valuable variety. Even slight imperfections can transform a simple 1 cent coin into a highly collectible piece. Then we have mint errors. While varieties come from the die itself, errors are mistakes that happen during the striking process. For example, off-center strikes are particularly exciting to collectors. If the design is shifted and part of the coin is blank, the uniqueness adds serious value. Another type of error is a die break, where cracks in the die leave raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. Even small die cracks or cuds can make a 2014 penny stand out from the rest. Let's also discuss the composition of the coin, because that plays an important role in its history. Since 1982, Lincoln cents have been made of copper-plated zinc. That means the coin is 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper plating. This change from the earlier 95% copper cents was due to rising copper prices, making it too expensive to keep minting pure copper coins. The switch gave collectors another reason to pay attention to modern pennies, since these zinc-based coins often corrode or discolor over time. If you find a 2014 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, without spots, scratches, or corrosion, then it already has an advantage over the millions of circulated examples. The grading of coins is another essential factor to consider. When we talk about value, condition is king. The Sheldon scale, which ranges from poor 1 to mint state 70, provides the standard for grading coins. Most 2014 pennies that you will find in circulation will be in grades like very fine or extremely fine. But if you happen to come across one that has never been used in circulation, known as mint state, then the value jumps dramatically. Collectors especially seek coins graded MS65 and above, as these showcase sharp details, brilliant luster, and minimal marks. So, what makes some of these 2014 pennies truly valuable? The answer lies in the perfect storm of condition, rarity, and error. A standard, circulated 2014 no mint mark penny will only be worth face value. But if you locate a coin with a major error, such as a doubled die, an off-center strike, or a dramatic die break, and it is preserved in high mint state condition, then its value can skyrocket. Auction houses and online marketplaces provide plenty of examples of modern pennies selling for shocking amounts of money. Collectors are willing to pay premiums for coins that stand out, and because the 2014 penny is still relatively new, high-grade examples have the potential to gain even more value as time passes. Think of it as an investment in a piece of modern numismatic history. Today it might seem like just a shiny coin from your pocket, but tomorrow, it could be one of the most sought-after pennies of its generation. It is also important to understand the psychology behind coin collecting. Collectors are not just looking for old coins, they are looking for stories. A 2014 penny with a double die error is more than just a minting mistake, it is a physical representation of history, chance, and rarity all rolled into one. Owning such a coin gives collectors a sense of pride, knowing that they have something truly unique. Many people wonder how they can find one of these coins. The good news is that they are still out there. Searching through rolls of pennies from your local bank, examining pocket change, or buying unsearched lots online can all lead to discoveries. The thrill of the hunt is part of the joy of coin collecting. Even though you might go through thousands of pennies without finding anything unusual, the possibility of stumbling upon a rare 2014-era penny keeps collectors motivated. Another tip is to use proper tools. A good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe will help you spot details that the naked eye can easily miss. Coin holders and protective cases will keep your finds safe from scratches and corrosion. And of course, staying informed by checking auction results, collector forums, and numismatic publications will give you an edge in understanding what collectors are looking for and how values are trending. Now, before we wrap up, let's circle back to the big question: how much can a 2014 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny really be worth? While most of them are only worth 1 cent, the rarest examples, those that combine error, variety, and mint state condition, have shocked collectors with their market value. One particularly stunning 2014 no-mint Mark penny in pristine condition, featuring a recognized error, sold for an incredible $8,376. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the world of rare coins, fascinating American currency history, and the hidden treasures that could be sitting in your pocket change right now. Today, we are going to explore one of the most modern yet surprisingly valuable pennies in circulation, the 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Most people glance at pennies without a second thought. They're often tossed aside, left in change jars, or dropped on the ground without anyone bothering to pick them up. But what if I told you that a single penny minted in 2016, something as ordinary as a 1-cent coin, could hold far more value than its face states? The truth is, certain 2016 pennies are already making headlines in the coin collecting community, not because they're ancient, not because they're made of precious metals, but because of their rarity, condition, and unique errors. Let's first start with a little history. The Lincoln cent is one of the longest-running coins in U.S. history. It was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse proudly displays the bust of Lincoln, and since its debut, it has become an iconic part of American coinage. Over time, the reverse design has changed. From 1909 to 1958, the reverse had the familiar wheat stalks, known as the wheat cent. Then came the Lincoln Memorial reverse from 1959 until 2008, showing the Washington, D.C. landmark in honor of Lincoln. Finally, beginning in 2010, the reverse was redesigned once again, showing a shield with a banner inscribed with the words, 1 cent. Now, the year 2016 is important because by then, the coin was being struck with the modern Union Shield reverse. Pennies from this era are mostly overlooked since they are so new. But here's the twist. While most people think only older coins or silver coins carry value, the 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent proves that even modern-day change can surprise you. So, what does it mean when we say 2016 no-mint Mark penny? Coins in the United States are minted in different locations. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, the San Francisco Mint, and the West Point Mint have all been used for producing coins at different times. Typically, coins carry a mint mark to show where they were struck. A D stands for Denver, an S stands for San Francisco, and a W stands for West Point. Coins struck at Philadelphia usually carry no mint mark at all, which is why the 2016 no mint mark penny was produced there. However, not every penny is struck the same. Variations occur due to minting errors, quality differences, and condition. And this is where things get really interesting. Let's talk about why some of these 2016 pennies are worth far more than 1 cent. Collectors pay attention to 3 key factors: rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. Even though millions of 2016 pennies were produced, only a fraction of them have the kind of unique qualities that make them collectible. For example, certain error pennies from 2016 stand out. Errors can occur when the die strikes the coin off-center, when the design is doubled, when planchets are misaligned, or when the metal composition creates unusual appearances. These errors are what turn an ordinary penny into something extraordinary. Second, condition. A coin in circulation that's scratched, worn down, and dull won't fetch much. But a coin that is pristine, with a sharp strike, glossy luster, and no signs of wear, that coin can be worth far more. Grading plays a huge role here. Coins are often graded on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-70 means it's in perfect mint state condition. If you happen to find a 2016 penny in perfect or near perfect grade, collectors may be willing to pay hundreds or even thousands for it. Third, demand. Even if a coin is rare and in great condition, it needs to be desirable to collectors. The Lincoln series is one of the most collected coins in America, making demand very high. Collectors try to assemble full sets, and they're constantly on the lookout for error coins, proofs, and top-grade examples to complete their collections. Now, let's explore the varieties and errors that make the 2016 no mint mark penny stand out. Point 1. Common error is the double die. This occurs when the die that stamps the coin has a misalignment during the engraving process, leading to a doubling of the design. On a 2016 penny, this doubling can appear on Lincoln's eye, his beard, or on the lettering like Liberty or In God We Trust. These double die pennies are highly sought after and can sell for many times their face value. Another notable error is the off-center strike. Imagine looking at a penny where Lincoln's portrait is not centered, but shifted dramatically to one side. These off-center pennies can range in value depending on how extreme the misalignment is. A slight off-center might only be worth a few dollars, but one that is 50% off-center while still showing the date clearly can fetch significant sums. There are also die cracks, where lines or raised marks appear across the coin due to a break in the die. These cracks can sometimes run through Lincoln's head or across the shield, making each coin unique and collectible. Collectors also look for plating errors, such as missing copper plating, which can cause the coin to appear more silvery in color, since modern pennies are made mostly of zinc with just a thin copper coating. Now let's think about the scale of production. The U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies in 2016, but only a tiny number have these special features. That's why collectors hunt so carefully, and why prices can skyrocket at auctions. What makes this even more exciting is that anyone, anywhere in the United States, could stumble across one of these valuable coins. Unlike older pennies that are harder to find in circulation, 2016 pennies are still everywhere. You might find one in your pocket change, in a coin roll from the bank, or sitting at the bottom of a coin jar in your kitchen. Let's also discuss how condition affects value in more detail. Circulated 2016 pennies might only be worth their face value, but uncirculated examples, especially those still sealed in mint sets, can carry premium prices. If you come across a brand new, untouched penny, it might be worth setting aside. Professional coin grading services, like PCGS and NGC, play a huge role here. They authenticate coins, grade them, and encapsulate them in protective holders. A penny graded MS-67 or MS-68 could be worth hundreds, while a perfect MS-70 could command even higher values. Another interesting aspect of the 2016 penny is its place in modern coin history. By 2016, the cost of producing pennies had already exceeded their face value. In fact, the U.S. Mint spends more than 1 cent to produce each penny, largely due to materials and manufacturing. There have even been debates about whether to discontinue the penny altogether. This ongoing discussion makes certain modern pennies more collectible, because if they ever stop making them, collectors will want to preserve these coins as the last of their kind. Imagine in the future, when pennies may no longer circulate, people will look back and say, "Remember those 2016 pennies? They were among the last era of shield designs." That historical context adds another layer of importance to the 2016 no-mint mark penny. So how do you check if your 2016 penny is valuable? First, grab a magnifying glass and carefully examine the details. Look closely at Lincoln's eye, his beard, and the lettering for any signs of doubling. Inspect the shield for cracks or misprints. Check the edges for unusual features. Then, consider the coin's condition. Is it shiny and uncirculated, or is it scratched and worn? Finally, if you think you've found something special, consider sending it in to be graded. Many stories have surfaced of people finding modern pennies worth hundreds or thousands of dollars simply because they paid attention. Coin collecting isn't just for historians or experts. It's for anyone willing to look closely at their change. To wrap this up, the 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is more than just a tiny copper-colored coin. It represents a piece of American history, a continuation of the iconic Lincoln cent series, and a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors. While most 2016 pennies will remain just that, pennies, there are some that stand out as true rarities, and in the coin world, those rarities translate into real money. Believe it or not, one of these 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent pennies has been valued at $9,266.